One guy you didn't mention there, though, you mentioned Alba, you mentioned Busquets. Obviously, we saw the impact right away and the chemistry between Busquets and Messi. You didn't mention Suarez, though.
Yeah.
I'm just where is that? Because it seems to be that there's some movement there, at least at the $150,000 and paying for that slot. I don't think most people sort of understand how those slots work, basically how the whole salary structure works in MLS. I mean, obviously Messi has signed one of the most unconventional deals in history because of the Apple TV thing and everything else. But what are the chances, I guess? Because, I mean, this feels, I mean, almost unfair. I mean, you mentioned, okay, LeBron's going to play with Wade and Bosch. Yeah, sure. Let's add Durant too. That's kind of what this feels like. So what is this exactly?
So I know that we've seen a lot of rumors lately about Suarez, and it seems like every day there's another update on Suarez. The thing with Suarez is it's in my opinion, it's very unlikely just because there's so many hurdles for it to happen. And hurdles on just different ends. Number one, he just signed a big contract with Grêmio in Brazil. He signed that contract in December. It runs through the end of 2024. And within that contract, it's reported that he has a buyout clause of about 70 million euros. They mention euros. I'm not sure how much that in US that is. It's probably a lot more. So number one, there's that one buyout that Inter Miami is not going to pay that. There's no way they're not going to pay that. Then on Grêmio side, it's going to be tough to even convince them to let Suarez go. From a sporting perspective, he's brought a lot to the team competitive-wise. They're a very competitive team. In 12 games that he started so far for Grêmio, he's got 4 goals and 3 assists, so he's very involved, very productive for them. And then on the business end, it's reported that he's increased their profit month over month by $5 million from T-shirt sales, from TV rights, commercials, all that type of stuff. So he's making them a ton of money. So for them to even let him go, it'd have to be a very high amount. I don't know how he's going to convince them to let him go for free. That'd be one of the only ways. So let's say all of that goes right. Let's say he somehow convinces Grêmio, let me go for free, or maybe instead of 70 million, what if Inter Miami pays you 5 million? Maybe that's something Inter Miami's willing to do. So let's say all of that happens. Now that happens, now you got to figure out a way to actually fit him onto Inter Miami's team. Because the way that the salary cap works there, it's pretty intricate. So it take hours and hours to explain this, but just basically they've got three DP spots. Those are designated player spots, right? Those are basically 3 spots for players that you can pay them above what the normal salary range would be, which is about 650 something thousand. And it not all of that salary, not all the excess salary, not count towards whatever the current salary cap is. So they're using one on Messi. They're using one on Busquets. And the third one they're using on Leonardo Campana, which is an Ecuadorian striker that they're currently using. And they cannot obviously take away Busquets. They can't take away Messi. And they're not going to take away Campana because the fact that he is a young designated player opens up 3 extra spots for other players that you maybe have heard that they've signed, like Facundo Farias, Diego Gomez from Paraguay. So they can't take him out. Okay. So in my opinion, the only way that they fit him in is if he somehow takes a drastic pay cut so that they can somehow fit him in within the current salary cap. And then not to mention, I don't know how many international spots we currently have. I know that we traded for one. It's been reported that we traded for that specific one for the $150K that you mentioned, Ethan, so that we can fit in one of the players that we already brought in, like either Diego Gomez or one of them. So I don't know if we have an extra one for him. We'd have to try to figure that out too. So there's just so many hurdles that we'd have to do. I think it's unlikely. Do I want him? Yes. I mean, to what you had said previously, it might be unfair if we bring him in as well, man. I mean, look, you know how the Heat were hated back in the day when we brought everybody in? That's kind of how we're headed now. We're getting a lot of hate. I don't know if you see that.
It's already started. I mean, it is. I mean, the Heat, the Canes. I mean, whenever anybody's successful in this market, it is a feeling that it's unfair. But that might actually be unfair. Like then we're kind of pushing it at this stage.